This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by MPix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. Manfrotto, imagine more. On One Software, software that gets you back to shooting. Adorama, more than a camera store. Tiffin, helping create the world's greatest images. Peach Pit Press, publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson, exceed your vision. Expo Imaging, Rogue Flash Benders for speedlight enthusiasts. Nix Software, photography first. And B&H Photo, the professional source.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to The Grid Live. You have to laugh.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not even going to comment on it because we're not supposed to comment on it. It's just, but we have a TV here that
You're commenting on it.
I know. It's funny. It's not anybody's fault. It waits right until we go live to go out. So it's like everything's live. We see all this stuff happening on screen, and then right as we go live, it goes out. And like I said, it's not anybody's fault. It's a faulty something. Fester valve, I think it is.
Box.
Yeah, it's something with 32 weight ball bearings.
Yes.
Anyway, welcome back to The Grid, everybody. I am joined today by two wonderful, wonderful, wonderful people. Brad Moore over on my left-hand side,
Hello.
and RC Concepcion over on my right-hand side.
Everybody, how you guys
Stop
doing?
typing.
I was just
You
writing.
can't type. Stop. You off the iPad. So you guys have seen RC quite a bit on the show before. We were talking today. Brad is actually the mastermind behind so many of the topics that we talk about on the show here.
Yep.
And so we're talking about what we're going to do today, and I'm like, we gotta have Brad on because he's behind so many of the topics. We should have him actually on the show to talk about some of these topics. So
Here I am.
So Brad, tell us a little bit about what you do here at Kelby Media Group.
Here, I'm Scott's photo assistant, so that encompasses a lot of things. Whenever Scott does shoots, I go in and set up the lights early. He tells me what he wants set up. Go do that, help out with getting models arranged and releases and
Locations.
and keeping the
Getting the
studio
gear.
clean and organized and a bunch of stuff.
Testing out the equipment, managing the
Yes.
whole studio, basically.
Making
because it's-
prints.
Yeah.
Keeping up with file management.
Yeah, but in addition to all of that stuff, I mean, and just to kind of just toot your horn because you're not going to do it. I mean, you're also you deal with a lot of coming up with topics for most of this kind of stuff. You work as technical editor for D-Town. You do all of the stuff with the photo walk. And
Brad is a very, very good writer. So if you read Scott's blog, Brad will jump in and post every once in a while if Scott can, or if it's just something that Brad usually takes care of. But if you read Scott's blog, Brad writes a lot of stuff. It's one thing I've always noticed, but you're a very, very good writer.
Well, thank you.
And the other thing that Brad won't tout is Brad is a very, very good photographer. Brad shoots a lot of concerts. You're at a
BeMoreVisuals.com.
BeMoreVisuals.com.
I'm going there right now.
So Brad is
shoot a show right after this.
over the hell was it been 4 years that you've been?
I've been here for 4 years. I started shooting shows maybe 2.5 years ago, something like that.
Brad has gone from, and it's been kind of cool to watch because Brad has literally gone. We were here when he shot his first concert, and he's gone from just starting to I'll put you up against any concert photographer in the industry in that short amount of time.
Well,
So it's pretty cool.
Oh, a huge, huge debt of gratitude and thanks to Alan Hess, who's in the live chat right now. Wouldn't know half the stuff that I know without his help and advice. And
Alan Hess is the man.
so he's
good.
Big props to him.
Cool.
So-
All right. So let's jump in. We have like multiple topics today. So if you guys are watching and just tuning in, you didn't see any of the pre-show stuff that we talked about. We're going to kind of turn this one over to you guys. What kind of questions do you have? And it can be anything. It can be questions about the industry, questions about Brad and his single status.
Boxers or briefs?
Boxers or briefs.
Banana hammocks?
It can be questions about anything. So start preparing those questions. Nancy is back today.
She is.
But Nancy is actually filling in for Brad, who Brad is usually there frantically jotting down comments from you
I
guys.
can point right there.
So
which
Nancy is
there.
right
You
over
just
here.
Can't see her.
But Nancy is back today, so we're happy to have her back in the studio here. And So get those comments, questions ready because you guys will dictate the show. We had a couple of things that we wanted to talk about. So first one, we got to kind of pay the bills here. MPix is one of our sponsors.
That's right.
If you're watching this show today, they have a 50% off deal for 4x6 prints. I wrote a little blog post about it over on my blog, mattkay.com. But 50% off 4x6 prints, and I encourage people just go print. I said take your iPhone, take your cell phone, take the last 50 or 100 photos that you've taken, and just print them. Don't worry about quality. Don't worry about whether or not you have to go into Lightroom or correct them or whether. Just go print them. I mean, it's 50%. It's like 10 cents a print. Just print them. Nobody who looks at these photos is going to care whether or not you took them into Lightroom to fix them or anything like that. So I was.
But I think that you bring up a really good. You bring up a very good point when it comes to the concept of like bringing your phone and printing off of your phone. It's surprising. It's wild because we chase the bigger camera, the better camera, the bigger camera, the better
All
camera.
the time.
And we have cameras in our pockets that are just phenomenal. My favorite picture that I have up on my wall, thanks to MPix, is a picture of my daughter Sabine, and she's like this on on an orange wall. And everybody that comes to that house now comes in and goes, "That's a beautiful picture. That's a beautiful picture." And I'm like, you know where she took that? She's actually standing at the booth at Pinkberry. She's just standing there, and we decided to take a picture with our iPhone, and it's one of the best pictures that we have. So, getting prints back from something that you carry all the time with you, I think there's a certain level of connection that's there.
The camera in this phone is better than any camera we were using 10 years ago. 8 years ago, 5 years ago. I mean, any point and shoot camera that we were using, obviously not DSLR, but the camera in this thing, it totally kicks butt.
And speaking of awesome iPhone photography, can you do me a favor? Can you pull up Calibra's Google Plus page real quick?
Yeah.
Now, I have to give a disclaimer. I think Calibra's iPhone camera has some special something in it that others don't have. But RC's pulling up her Google Plus page, and just this first picture right here. I mean, that's an iPhone picture.
You know,
well, I don't know what that is.
Those are monkeys.
But like,
yeah, she
just if you look for this is Scott Kelby's wife, Calibra, and she just has some amazing iPhone photography. So
she does really well with her iPhone, and it's one of those things where she does a lot of this stuff, and she follows a lot. She's a very visual person. She started this show on Pinterest because of that kind of stuff. So she's a very visual person, and she really has kind of adopted the limitations, the good, the bad, the indifferent, like all of the stuff of that phone. And she ekes out every bit of awesomeness out of the phone. I think she does very, very well with that.
Well, I think it just goes to show it's really the eye that's behind the camera rather than the camera itself.
Absolutely.
So. Yes.
But yeah, and it takes us off the topic of a special, an MPix or anything like that. I just think, and I've said it many times before that I thought printing was dying, and.
Are you going to eat your words, Matt?
I will eat my words.
Are you going to eat? Are you kidding me?
I do it often. RC will attest to it.
No, seriously, I didn't know you were going here. That's very cool.
No. I will definitely eat those words. You know what with the 4x6 thing, the deal from MPix came across my desk yesterday. I was like, okay, well, I should mention it because they're our friends and everything. And then I'm sitting here, I'm like, I took a whole trip in the beginning of July.
Right.
That's on my phone. I didn't bring a point and shoot camera. Right. This is my whole trip. It was 148 photos.
Right.
And I haven't done a thing with them. And that special is what prompted me to go and to print out the whole trip in 4x6s. And the story that I told was that whenever we go to events like Cub Scouts and football games and all these things, there's always a couple of parents there that are way more organized and energetic than me. And they take pictures. And at the end of the season or the end of the game or the end of the whatever happens to be, a lot of parents will take and they'll start handing out 4x6s to all the groups of parents that they've printed out of their kids and their families and everything. And my kids get them and they immediately start going and grabbing thumbtacks and putting them up in their room. My wife gets them and she immediately starts putting them on the refrigerator, or they go into our little shoe box or something like that. But the kids thing is really what got me, because it made me realize print's not dying. Yeah. You know, here's my kids who I thought all they cared about was their iPad and their phones and the images that they see online, because that's all they've ever really seen. And they get a print and they just jump on it.
Now,
They can't put their phones up on the wall, so.
yes. Now, time for a second, personal moment, just to point out the fact that we print all the time.
Yeah.
Like when Matt says that he thought print was dying, we're printing. I mean, there's a 7900, a 4900, 3880 that are sitting, Epson, obviously, that are sitting over there, and we ourselves print, but a lot of the times we know that, you know, by the grace of what we do, we get a chance to do that. That doesn't necessarily represent the overall populace. So when you were making a statement like that, you were making a lot of statements that said relative to the general populace.
Yeah. No,
it wasn't, I'm not printing,
Yeah.
because you're printing all the time. You're printing all the time. Brad and I, we're always running around inside of the print room. But that was the statement that you made. I just kind of wanted to make a point of
Yeah, no, I just
clarification
think
of that.
overall to the general population who doesn't have inkjet printers and who doesn't have, you know, the ability to go do that, I thought print was dying. I thought a lot of their photos were getting stuck on their computer, and they're just not doing anything with it.
Maybe the entire thing is print is dying in those small cases, because in
Yeah.
places like MPIX, I mean, you can take it, send it, it's back like
Yeah.
immediately.
What I think the lesson is print. People might not be printing as much, but people want to be printing just as much as they ever have.
Yeah.
You know, you can't. And my kids' reaction to those prints to me was like a testament to that. You know, when I saw the reaction, I was like, it's not dying.
That's cool.
People
You wrote
still
that,
want prints.
You wrote that where, Mr. Kloskowski?
MattK.com.
So make sure that you guys go right here. I'm going to go right there, mattk.com. We'll go ahead and bring that up real quick. This is a spot for you to go to read that. I like the look of this blog. It's very, very nice. The ski report. So that's the
even
place
got
for
a
us to
little
go
thing at the
to
bottom.
talk about that. Now,
That was
I
good,
would-
Jen. Thank you.
I want to jump back a couple of different things. We were talking about it's not the photographer, it's the camera. Like, it's not the camera,
yeah, opposite.
it's the photographer. Oh, that's right. It's the opposite. Which brings us really, really nicely into Joe Clamar.
Oh,
The entire topic of the Olympic. I didn't mean it badly. I just meant.
Yeah, if you saw Scott's blog today, Drew Gardner is the guest blogger, and he kind of gave his 2 cents on if you've probably seen these U.S. Olympic portraits that came out. I don't know, probably about a month or more ago now. But this guy basically, I mean, he did these portraits of these Olympians that just weren't that great. Like you can see like the ripped seamless paper and the dirty paper and the not so great lighting and all this stuff. But
shadow, like a weird shadow.
but when you see the picture and you're like, those are terrible. Why would anybody run those anywhere? The pictures that are on the blog are not the pictures. These are Drew's pictures, but he's talking about the other pictures in between his pictures.
Oh, I'm bringing those pictures up.
So RC's got those coming up right now on his laptop. But
Yes, it was
you
these.
can see these pictures, but then like you go, there was this big uproar online about I could do better with my iPhone. I could, I've won all these Flickr awards. I could do better than this. Well, not saying you couldn't, but once you hear the story kind of behind what happened and what led up to the taking of these pictures, you can become a little more understanding, because the brief that he was given, or the lack of brief that he was given, was basically he showed up with his press photo kit thinking that he was going to be taking headshots of these people when they were like on a stage sitting behind a table doing a press conference. He had no idea that there was going to be like studio setups available and that each photographer was going to have their own little space. I keep glancing over here because RC, I see this.
And he had a bunch of lenses and one light.
And he had like one on-camera light, and that was it. Like he just was unprepared because nobody told him what he was getting into. So,
But here's
all
the
right, so here, I guess one of the questions that raises for me, whose fault is that?
I blame the editor.
Because, all right, and I'll use RC as an example. If that was RC, I guarantee you he would have shown up with 4 lights, even if he was told to show up with 0.
But
Right?
Yes.
the difference is RC is a portrait photographer. That's what he does.
I'm a strobist.
If he turns
That's true.
around, if you turn around and all you do is paparazzi, not like chase people down in their cars, paparazzi, but like red carpet event photography. If that's all you do, and you're sitting there behind a rope with 50 other photographers shooting movie stars as they're walking up and down the carpet, if you're making money off that and that's what you do, then why are you going to turn around and go buy studio lights?
Sure. No, it's a good
That's
point.
that's
Okay.
all. That's what he does.
Now,
does.
let me
if you
flip
look,
it.
If you look
now,
at his other stuff,
let me flip it
that's
to
all
the,
he does.
Let me flip it to the other side. If that were the case, though, portrait or otherwise, right? I can forgive this, right? The Michael Phelps, I don't even know if he's there, kind of
Yeah.
single shot in the back. I can forgive that because let's say he doesn't do strobe. That's cool. But even as an event person, he couldn't have thought that that was a good idea. There's no way he could have thought that that was a good idea. Now, this is where, like, that's what I was thinking to myself. I don't know if I agree with it now, because you know who actually did a really, really good take of it was David Hobby at the Strobist. He was talking a little bit about this, and I saw some of these pictures, and I was like, dude, really? But then he turned around and he said, if he had to submit his whole take, right, where he's not taking out outtakes, where all of the images are being thrown up there and everybody's posting that, that could have been one where he wasn't even aiming. That could have been one where he
That
was.
could have been a hip shot.
It could have been a hip shot. And if it was, then is it fair to judge him for that? So I go, all right, well, now let me give Joe the benefit of the doubt. But then, just recently, they announced that he's doing a fine art exhibit on all of these things. And now I'm like, oh, dude, come on, dude, really?
And
Did he just
and
Terry
even-
Richardson the whole thing? It's
And
like,
even with that, like I
Without
turn
the
around and
ether?
go, is
sorry.
RC was referencing a very funny video about Terry
Yeah.
Richardson, but we're not going to go there. But even then, like, if you're an event photographer and you're making what you're making, and then all of a sudden a gallery approaches you and sees an opportunity, and they say, "Hey, we're going to give you X." And this is not what happened. I don't know what happened, how this came about. But if a gallery turned around and said, "We're going to give you X amount of money to put up your crappy pictures," and put a different spin on it and say they're heartfelt and there's deep meaning here,
I'd call
would you
that
do it?
tantamount to prostitution.
Would you? But would you do it?
No.
If it sent your daughter to college,
No.
okay.
That's blood money.
just- now,
in
now-
terms of my craft.
None of us know this guy from Adam.
hey,
No,
you
so
wouldn't
we have
know
no
who
personality,
knows the
no
background.
ethical judgment, nothing.
You're right.
But
You're
we're
absolutely
speculating.
right.
Speculating.
The complete speculation.
Yes.
But if we made speculation that turned around and said, you took a bunch of crappy pictures and you could put them in a gallery to send my daughter to college, I'd be at Wendy's.
Okay.
Because I think that to some degree, I owe it to my own craft. Now, mind you, we're always talking about how, I'm a very big fundamentalist when it comes to that kind of stuff. I want to get better, and I want to make sure that I talk about
Sorry,
these kinds of
somebody
things.
wrote, I can be bought.
I can be bought.
Somebody in the comments wrote, I can be bought.
And you know what? I would prefer to say that I wouldn't let it get to that. Who knows? But I
Yeah.
would prefer to say that I wouldn't let it get to that. This means a lot more than me.
Yeah.
I think that what's happened a lot in photography is people have lowered the bar so much. People have lowered the bar so much about picking up their camera and taking a picture and going, it's good enough. Put it on the internet. And it's like, dude, really?
Yeah.
So I would like to think that I would do better at that. I would like to think that I would have a better filter than that.
So it was Drew Gardner on Scott's blog
Yes.
today. If you want to read more about this,
There it is right here,
You
Pamela.
can go to scottkelby.com. Today's Wednesday, so if you go to Wednesday, was it August 8th today?
Yeah.
August 8th. Now,
August 8th.
Drew, phenomenal photographer.
Drew's an awesome photographer.
Phenomenal.
But if you want to read more about it, and you can see the name of the photographer that we're talking about and probably do a search and find out a little bit more, just go over to Scott's blog and you'll see it. But hey, we're going to take a very quick break. When we come back from the break, one of the questions that you guys sent in was our feelings on iPads for photographers. So thought that was a good topic. I know I got some thoughts on it. I know these guys do too. We will talk about that as soon as we get back.
And if you're just tuning in, and it seems like a grab bag of stuff today,
It is.
It is. It's supposed to be. So
That was Brad's idea. No, it wasn't.
there's Scott.
We'll see you guys back in a minute.
See you in a bit.
I can't wait to do this again.
Hey, we're back on the grid live. I'm joined today by RC Concepcion
Hey, everybody.
and Brad Moore.
Hello.
Back.
Hello.
Back. Hello. All right, we're back to questions. So one of the questions that we got from you guys, because this is a smorgasbord of questions from you guys today, because we really didn't have a topic. So Brad said, let's be lazy and let's just take everybody else's questions.
Nice.
Of course, I had to go along with it.
All
right,
Putting words in your mouth.
All right, so just a quick.
get the bus off of you.
I'm totally teasing. I am the one that pushed for the questions from you guys today. Alan Hess said a comment, the point and shoot is dying. I would definitely agree with that, although I could be eating those words again.
The point and shoot is
however
becoming
long
the
anyway.
iPhone.
But this is
camera
the
phones.
point and shoot.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. The point and shoot's dying.
No, I'd go with you on that one.
This is
Point
the
and shoot
point
is
and
dying.
shoot.
Point and shoot is gone, dude.
When I purposely did not bring a point and shoot on my vacation, knowing
did
I was
you-
going to take everything on this.
Did you hear Trey Ratcliffe? Remember, this is where it's at, man.
Oh yeah, that's revolutionary.
So, but I would agree. I would agree. The point and
So.
shoot is dying.
Point and shoot's dying. Okay. iPad for photographers. There's the advent of there's apps that are out now that I think even change this. So Photosmith is one of the apps that's out there, and Photosmith has been out there right from the beginning. That's like Lightroom for the iPad in a way, in more or less.
Do you want to bring that up on something? I would bring it up on here, but my iPad is this for some reason.
They
The
have
signal's not
the-
working.
Go now.
I bet you Jen has a link up there too. She might be able to grab it in a second.
Anyway,
there we go. Photosmith. So Photosmith is kind of like, it's your photography workflow. It's Lightroom-ish. You can see even by that screen capture that it kind of goes with Lightroom. Another one is Mosaic. So there's a new one on the market from Mosaic Archive, and they have this thing called Mosaic View. It's pretty sharp too. It gives you your last, I forget how many thousands of photos that you worked on in Lightroom. You get this app on your iPad, and it's automatically synced. So whatever you bring into Lightroom is automatically on your iPad, and vice versa. So when it comes to all that stuff, I think that changes it. Before I ask your opinion, I'll throw mine out there, which is I don't use my iPad for that stuff. My iPad for me is a consumption device. I eat it. No. I watch Netflix on it.
Right.
I type emails on it.
Right.
I surf the web on it.
Right.
I watch online training on it. I've ripped DVDs to it. I play games on it. So for me, my iPad is more of a consumption device. I haven't given up my laptop yet. So for me personally, to do anything photography related on my iPad feels awkward, because it's like I'm inserting this. I'm uploading my photos here because I've got my whole hard drive configuration worked with here, and then I'm inserting this iPad in here just because. So I don't want to go to here and then go to my iPad and then go back to here. If there's anything that I do on my iPad for photography, it's to have a portfolio. So all my photos go up on here to my laptop, right here. All my photos go on here to my laptop. I do all of my editing, culling, getting whatever happens to be done, do all my editing, my Photoshop work here. When I'm done, then I'll put them onto my iPad into the portfolio.
Yep. I would agree.
What about you?
I absolutely, positively, 100% agree.
I'm gonna go to Brad first because you have an even different take on this. So Brad, what's your thoughts on it?
I completely agree. Why would I edit pictures here if I can edit them there? And
Yeah.
this is a much more powerful thing. And I don't really do that much mobile photography, and I'm not going to carry my iPad around and be like,
Oh yeah, nah.
that just looks stupid in my opinion, but
and then iPads, it's big. Like if you're doing stuff with your iPhone, the iPad is a nicer screen to use like Snapseed and all the different apps for, but that to me is still clunky.
And if you're using like the iCloud thing and you have it automatically uploading the pictures, I can see bringing them in here and editing them here. If you have like, Snapseed or something like that, I do love Snapseed.
I love Snapseed
If I'm
too,
going to
but-
use anything to edit, it's probably going to be Snapseed.
See, for me, it's either my laptop or my phone.
Yeah.
I edit tons of stuff in Snapseed.
Yeah.
But it's either my laptop or my phone. It's not on my iPad. Now, there are times where I could see, it's not for me personally, but if you've got a shoot and you've got clients that are standing by, and that you're shooting directly into the iPad, you've got one of those apps. So now you've got some hooks into Lightroom. If Lightroom happens to be the program you're looking at, they can be looking at photos. They can be picking and flagging photos, and then that gets all synced with Lightroom and everything. And then I could see the advantage there.
If you go back on Scott's blog, a guest blog, I think it was last year, is from Andrew Eccles, Eccles. If you search for that, he's got a great blog post, and a lot of that is talking about using the iPad on set. He does a lot of editorial and commercial photography where he's got 20 people watching him. And
That I can see
what
it.
would happen is whenever digital came about and he was shooting tethered, and you got 5 people gathered around the not the laptop, but the monitor that the pictures are coming in on. And then they're saying, "Oh, we'll try this and try that," and they're all wanting to have their input.
Yeah.
But now he's got software on iPad, and the software he uses to shoot tethered, he can remotely put that out to the iPad, and now all of a sudden they're, back on the couch, just sitting there watching the pictures come in, rather than being right here next to him and involving, trying to be involved in the creative process, which it is a process. It's not an instantaneous thing. You have to have that time to work through and relate to the model, and having those people interfering hurts.
That would freak me out, dude.
Yeah.
If I had, and usually whenever I'm doing a shoot, if somebody comes along with that, I'm just like, you know what? You need to be over there. Like with a model or anything. Like with anybody that I'm working with, I usually turn the monitor for me, and they're like, "Why are you turning the computer?" I'm like, "Because that part's for me. It's not for you. I'll show you when we're done."
Yeah.
So it does get into the process. So I think that's one of those things where it's like there could be a use for it.
It depends is the answer. And I'll leave, before we jump over to RC and close this one up, I'd leave you with those apps, especially, Photosmith. I've used both to a degree. Photosmith I've used. It's a solid app.
Right.
So if you're in that market, and if you think the iPad fits in for you, and because that's where the question came, as a person said, there's so many different options out there for integration for photography, not Snapseed-like apps, but how to integrate photography on your iPad and Lightroom and all that. Photosmith totally rocks, so it is a solid app. But RC was actually never seen without his iPad.
Actually, it was a different evolution though, because when I first started, remember, I was like,
You had a print portfolio you walked around with all the time.
No. Before, I was like, when people were like, "Well, how was?"
That's right. That's right. He did the iPad, when the iPad got announced, we were talking about it. I still remember. You're like, I don't know. And then you got one.
And then I got one.
And he was never seen without it again. Except when he forgot it everywhere he went. But it was never on purpose. It was never like, I don't want to bring my iPad today.
his
It's just,
keys in the
you have
wallet.
to know RC.
Special shout out. The person who saved my iPad more than anybody has been right here. Mr. Rob Herrera, who's sitting right there, just came in live. He saved my iPad more times than I dare to count.
And it's got to be a lot, because I know that I've saved your iPad at least 15 to 20 times, and Brad probably even more. So, but yeah, you got to know RC. RC gets into a car, takes his keys in his wallet, puts them down onto the seat next to him, gets out of the car, goes somewhere, and I go home, and next thing I know, I get a call from RC saying, "Hey, I left my keys in my wallet in your car." But this happens like every week.
Yes.
So you don't see RC with his iPad anymore. But
Not as much. Not as much. I still
Not-
kind of
yeah,
have it.
yeah.
I still kind of have it. Well, and see,
I see you with this a lot.
well, see, and that was my thing. It's
like a big phone.
I just got this, right? So this is the new iPhone. Right? Hello?
It's the
No?
iPhone 6.
The iPhone 6. No, this is the Nexus 7 tablet. This is how I see it. The reason that I use Mac products, right? What I wanted to do is I wanted to have. I look at it based on function. I look at it based on what it's going to let me do. I wanted to have something that let me take my DVDs and let me take those movies and put them onto a phone. Let me put them onto an iPad. And then let's say that I'm watching Little Einsteins or my daughter's watching Little Einstein. It's not me, 'cause I don't watch it, obviously.
Sure,
But
you don't.
let's say that my daughter's watching it on my phone. We're in the car. She gets home and she wants to watch it. I'd like to be able to just kind of grab it and beam it over using Apple TV onto the television. So I wanted to have my media inside of one ecosystem. That was the number one rule for me. The second thing was portfolios. I use my iPad to get access to a ton of different places because rather than talking about, well, I do this kind of photography that does this, that kind of does that, it was a lot easier for me to go, I do this. And people go, oh, yeah, you want to get in here. So for me, that alone has paid for all of the iPads that we have, and we have a lot of them. Now, over the last couple of months, I started noticing that as I wasn't shooting, the iPad would stay home one day, the iPad would stay home 2 days, the iPad home would stay home 3 days. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, a lot of the stuff that I was doing, the phone was more than enough. I never looked at the iPad as a place to finish my pictures. By the time the pictures hit my iPad, they're done. All I'm doing is showing people stuff and putting the iPad in the middle of that process. Wait, hold up, let me get my model release app on the iPad. Just felt very, very clunky. Wait, let me get the sun thing on the, just felt clunky. I was just like, I just want my camera and whatever other tool that I'm gonna need to get the job done. That's it. So for me, it started becoming less and less and less. Then Netflix came on the phone, and this came on the phone, and then the model app came. Catherine Hall's modeling app I have on the phone. So now all of these things go onto the phone, and I'm like, what am I gonna do with the iPad? A lot of the times I'm just like you. I'm working on a laptop. So at the same time, my wife gets a Kindle. She's been using the Kindle, Jen's using the Kindle, and I'm like, I kind of want a Kindle. I kind of want to lay in bed and read something. And then the Nexus 7 comes out. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like the size. And I grabbed it, and I'm like, this is pretty cool.
He hasn't been without it since. That was about 2 weeks ago, right?
So it does all of the different, it does all of the different things that I want. It's $199 is the cheapest one. $249 is the more expensive one. It does the web. You can put music. You can put media onto it.
It does the web?
It does this internet.
The World Wide Web?
You know, it does all of these different things. And I wear baggy pants.
Does it fit in that pocket?
No.
Oh, because you were wearing a shirt. Yeah, yeah, it does.
There you go. Done. So,
but it fits in your pocket, your pants pockets.
Yeah.
You're wearing like cargo shorts.
Yeah. So I mean, it fits in my pocket, and I carry it everywhere. So it's like all of a sudden,
Everywhere.
And now, because I was telling Brad, I was like, Brad, you know what the other secret of having the Nexus 7 that's really cool? You can throw it in your pocket and throw your shirt over it, and when you come out of the bathroom, people don't know that you were while using the iPad in the bathroom. Because there's always that shame, like, yes, I brought it in there.
No, I was on my way to a meeting.
So
right.
For me, it works, and it shows my pictures well, and I think that that's kind of great. So the only thing that I'm missing right now is the AirPlay, but it's only for this.
Yeah.
So for me, I don't think it's all that bad. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. That's the Nexus 7.
And you
I'll have to try it out.
You were talking about the model release app. Even like I was using my iPad for model releases, and then we'd be on a shoot, and I'd be like, "Crap, I forgot my iPad." And then I realized I can put that same app on my phone.
On my phone,
Yep.
yeah. That was
It
good.
works the same.
You know what else I do for modeling release apps? I get the most simple, basic. I went to Kelby Training, Jack Rosnicki,
Yes.
Ed Greenberg. I have a basic model release. They have a class that talks about model releases, and they give you a whole bunch of different model releases. I printed one of the model releases. I have one or two of them. The very, very basic, simple intergalactic one. No header, no footer, no nothing. As simple can be. I print 2 sheets of paper. I fold them up, and I put them in my wallet. Because then at that point, when you go do a shoot, if you show up with iPad or Hollywood, people are like, oh, this guy's
Oh,
like
how
a
much
big-"
am I going to get paid if it gets
Exactly.
used?
But if you do the Columbo thing where, oh, let me just take a picture. You know what? I have
It's
something
this piece of
here.
paper here.
Hey, I just need you to sign in case I use it for my thing. Bam.
Yeah.
You got the picture.
All right.
That's the important part.
So, hey, Nance, can you scroll up to the top, please? Let's see if we can. I know we can get through a lot of these questions pretty quick.
Yeah,
We've
they're
just
pretty
been
quick.
letting them go. Some speculation on an iPad Mini.
I'll probably get the iPad Mini. I probably
Yeah.
will.
If
I
such a thing
love
exists.
this.
If such a thing exists.
If one were to say that the iPad Mini would exist,
We have no
one would
idea.
say that we have
Yeah.
no clue. But I'd probably get it.
Yeah,
think
I would
it's
too. All right, let's see. This is a long question. I think we can answer it quickly. If you're getting started in photography, what's the best way to determine what type of photography to start with? Sports, studios, etc. Also, when it comes to gear and you're a beginner, do you buy a starter kit? Do you buy everything separate? What do you think about reconditioned or used gear? So, first question. how do you determine what type of photography to start with?
You do it all and see what looks best.
Brad.
Seriously, you jump in, you do everything that you have access to do, and you see what you enjoy doing the most, which in turn will more than likely translate into having the best pictures, because if you're enjoying yourself, you're going to have a better chance of getting good pictures.
I'd start at 500px.
Yeah.
Go to 500px or go to Flickr. I'd say 500px. 500px is a better
A
example.
little higher quality.
Yeah, it's much higher
Generally
quality.
speaking.
Yeah. But I think that you first need to, and I was talking to somebody about this, I said, you first need to understand what it is that you're leaning towards for you to be able to make a list. So when you go to 500px and you start browsing and you start looking at different things, you can kind of find a running list of what it is that you like and what it is that you don't like. Like if bird you don't like, you're like, you pass it. But then you look at this and you go, I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna favorite this. You'll see patterns emerge.
Yeah,
and
what
at
do you-
least that way you'll have a list of what you want to try.
What do you find yourself liking? And go start shooting. And then if you find yourself liking photos of Patagonia, then you better be prepared to have some money to go to Patagonia and shoot. So, but yeah, I would say the same thing. Figure out, go there. What do you start to gravitate toward, and then try to shoot those types of things.
Brad Moore, what kind of stuff do you not like to shoot?
Do I not like to shoot? It's sad because I end up doing a fair amount of it, but product photography,
Really?
not a big fan. I don't know.
That's another thing that Brad does. If you ever see Scott's books where there's products in there,
Like, it's
Brad
not
shoots a lot
bad,
of those photos.
But it's, I don't know, it just gets monotonous to me. I'm not saying I'm a great product photographer, but those pictures are in some of the best-selling books out there, I guess.
Yeah.
But
That's a
it's all right.
bio.
It's
what
just, it gets too simple for me, I think.
Okay.
Now, there's definitely more complicated stuff out there, and one of the people to look at is Alex Kloskowski. He does
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, he's great. Alex is the
photography.
man. He's out of
I'm
Atlanta. He's great.
nowhere near that level.
Yeah.
So mine, you know what does nothing for me? And I've tried and tried and tried? Wildlife. Wildlife does, I like to look at other people's, but it just does zero for me to photograph. I just have no desire to do it.
Nice.
So, and I'll go on these workshops and be like, we're gonna go out and shoot a great landscape in the morning, and then we're gonna get up at 4 a.m., go shoot a great landscape in the morning, and when the light gets bad, there's plenty of opportunities for wildlife, and all I think about is, I wanna go back to bed. I don't wanna go to all those plenty of opportunities for wildlife.
Or you can shoot something and have it for breakfast.
Yeah, that's true. What about you?
Nice. Well, I don't do wildlife a lot. I'm not that big, but I would probably say sports.
Yeah.
I'm just like, people do sports. I'm like, I can't wait for football season, and I'm like,
I know somebody around the office like
is
that.
that? But see, like people would make fun of me. Like Scott makes fun of me all the time. Like we go to Scott's house and we're watching a football game, we're doing stuff, and I'm like, why are all those guys chasing that guy? Let him go. Why don't you? And I'm just like not into. Does this look like a sports body? I'm not in sports, dude. So for me, it's never. I look at that stuff and I'm like, it's guy holding arm and knee up before he releases the ball.
There's a whole different thing to it. I enjoy it sometimes. I've shot some sports. I've done a lot of sports shooting.
You like black and whites?
For USF. We'll talk about black and white in a second. I've done some sports shooting for USF. The problem with most of my sports shooting has been done for University of South Florida, which is where I went to college. And my biggest problem is I want to watch the game. So I'm sitting there shooting a football game, and the play starts, and I'm like, watching the ball go, and this awesome diving catch, and I'm like, yeah! And I totally forget that I was actually supposed to be taking pictures of this. Hope nobody from USF is watching, because they will revoke my credentials to shoot USF games this season. Anyway, all right, let's see.
Starter kit? Do you want to?
So yeah, when you're a beginner, you know what? See if you guys agree with me. I'd say, buy a low end body. Like if you're on Canon, I'd go with like a Rebel.
XTI.
Nikon, like a D3000, D5000, something like that. D7000,
Yep.
if you can get up there. And then what I would say, buy that ultra range lens. Both of them have it. Canon and Nikon both have a 18 to 200, right?
18 to
Nikon
200,
has an. Don't
28 to
Nikon have
300.
18 to 300 now?
28 to 300.
28 to 300.
Yeah.
Buy that ultra range lens. It's a little pricey for a first lens, but you'll save so much money in the long run.
And that gets you used to the different zooms and where you want to be. And people are like, oh, you got to learn on primes. Dude, just don't turn the thing. Just get yourself to the one spot you want and use that for a little while.
Whether it's from Tamron or Sigma or
and that'll let you
Tokino,
know if
buy
you,
that.
People see differently. Some people see wide and some people see zoomed in. And having that lens with all those options will let you know which you like better. So when you do buy another lens, you can focus on the more expensive wide.
Some people in the comments are saying something about
K.
Sorry about that, Brad. I was saying that some people in the comments are saying stuff about KEH. And KEH is a great
phenomenal.
place. It's a great place for you to buy used stuff. If you want to find some stuff, KEH is a great place to be able to do that. Adorama also sells. They have a big used department. So that's one of the other places I would go to. You know, I'd take a look at either of those places. Adorama does a really, really good job with that stuff too.
All right, let's see. I would like to know what person that inspired Matt, Brad, RC, the guys to get into photography and what. Kick this one over to you first.
The person who started me in photography, I would probably say would be Newman. And Newman was the quintessential portrait photographer for me. You know, a lot of the times, like when you look at portrait photography, I always tell people your job as a portrait photographer is to elevate the person, elevate the soul of the person to come up and then take their picture. And you just take all of the junk, take all the crap out, just cut it. And the best example that I tell people is Stravinsky. Newman's Stravinsky was what got me started, what got me fired up about it. And he did this because Stravinsky's a piano player. So if I asked you to take a portrait of a pianist, what would a portrait of a pianist look like? And a pianist.
RC, this isn't that kind of show.
What kind of portrait would that look like? Huh? No, but chances are...
One light or two.
The onus is not here today.
The last picture that you would come up with would probably be this. And that, for me, was the picture that did it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is no effects, no nothing. To sit down and think about the essence of that, to carve that out, for me was like, that's what I want to do.
Cool.
So that was that. And then after that, I actually had a very, very big diet of McNally. Like, I mean, I was there, you know, for for the Faces in 9/11. I got the subscription. I got the Power of Sight. Like, I was the guy who was so into that kind of stuff. I was so into what McNally was doing. And now fast forward, it's like, it's wild because it's like now we're working together and doing things together and stuff. So
yeah, you're teaching a workshop with him in St. Lucia.
That's right.
In September. So.
Yeah, I'm teaching a workshop with him down at Jade Mountain, and we're doing that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited. So
hit RC up on Twitter or Google Plus if you want to know more about it.
It's pretty decent, but it's one of those things to go from watching this stuff to being a part of this stuff. I think is neat.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Bradsky.
Well, as far as a person goes, like an actual physical person that I know personally, would probably be my photography professor from college, Jim Veneman. He just was really a huge encouragement whenever I was starting out. And then as far as photography inspiration goes, honestly, it was like the life classic photographers. Philippe Halsman, Jean Mili, all those guys. Two of my favorite portraits are Picasso that Jean Mili did where he's got a light pen and he paints his famous bull from one of his paintings, and it's in the dark. But then at the end of the exposure, there was a flash, and so you see him.
That's cool.
And then I don't know. Can you see my iPad or no? No. Okay.
Can you Can you guys do me a favor too?
Yeah.
Because this will get posted. The rebroadcast gets posted on kelbytv.com/thegrid. Can you guys make sure links to all the people you're talking about get put up on there too?
So I think
that's
RC's got one pulled up here.
That's Jean Mili.
Jean Mili. Mr. Mili. So that, and then another one, if you can look it up, Dali Atomicus by Philippe Halsman. It's this crazy picture of Salvador Dali jumping in the air with a painting in the background, cats flying through and water going through, and just seeing stuff like that, I was like, I've got to try my hand at being able to do stuff like that. So if you can pull up RC's real quick, that's another one. And actually, this, believe it or not, pre-Photoshop, but it's heavily edited. If you go on Wikipedia, you can see the original file. There's no painting in the frame behind him. There's stuff holding up the stool.
Those cats.
They're the cats, and the cats survived, and they got caviar afterwards, so they survived just well. They were happy.
Nice.
Those cats in water.
So,
all right.
Anyway,
what were you going to say?
What about you?
So
What did it for you?
I am the most boring, inspirationless person that exists out there. I'm dead inside. I honestly, and this is in all honesty, I have no idea what inspired me to get into photography, other than I just knew that I liked to have a camera and take pictures. So I have no idea what inspired me to get into this. I have no formal photography training. I have no formal art training. I have no formal or informal art or history training. What all I can do is offer you two people that have shaped what my photography has become over the years. I like to shoot landscapes a lot. Bill Fortney, years and years ago, when I first started honing in that I liked landscapes, watching Bill's work and seeing and getting Bill to critique my work is what shaped my landscape photography, and what shaped my portrait photography is Cliff Mountainer. So I don't shoot weddings, but I do like to shoot a lot of portraits, and watching Cliff and seeing the posing, the emotion, the light, how Cliff uses light, that has shaped my portraits.
Nice.
So, but I have no idea I have no idea what I looked at one day and said, I want to take pictures. I want to get into photography. I don't even remember. So,
But see, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
I actually, you know who actually changed my mind just before you go into the next quote? The person who changed my mind the most about that was Dave Black. And not very long ago either. We were sitting, Brad, myself, and Pete were all sitting there. We were talking about stuff, and I was getting on one of my rants. People should care. People should be interested. People should, and blah, 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 blah. And he was like, hey, you play guitar? And I'm like, yeah. Do you play piano? Yeah. And he's like, do you want to go play at Carnegie Hall? No. What'd you do? Why'd you get into piano? Well, actually, to meet the ladies.
yeah.
It's like, well,
Good reasons, isn't he?
right? I mean, that's so he was sitting there and he's like, well, your reason for getting into piano, he's like, some people play to play in a garage. Some people play to play in a bar. Some people play to play at Carnegie Hall. All of those people have different reasons for playing. What difference does it make what their reasons are they're playing?
That's a really good point.
And he was just like, I
If
sat
Dave Black
there.
was here, I'd shake his hand.
I sat there and I was just like, wow.
I'll shake your hand because that's a really good point.
Dave Black, that one's for you, dude. But it was one of the most insightful things. But literally, he like disarmed the entire argument. I sat there and I was like, oh my God, you're right. I've been an arrogant fool because
I
different
know.
people-
I've been telling you that for years. So you know what's funny though, is I can remember exactly who got me into playing guitar. Remember? Do you guys remember the Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads tribute album? When
No, I do not.
Okay. So, some of you do. You probably weren't born yet when this came out, but the Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads tribute
They
album
used to
came
play
out.
these things called guitars,
It
strings.
had strings.
Like this.
And I was watching. My friend had that tribute album, and I'm listening to Randy Rhoads, and I'm watching Randy Rhoads, and I'm like, I want to play guitar. And so Randy Rhoads is who's passed on. That's why there's a tribute album to him. But Randy Rhoads is what got me into it. So I remember exactly who got me into guitar. I just have no idea who got me into photography.
Beethoven got me into piano.
All right.
I'm a nerd, dude.
Let's see.
I'm such a nerd.
Here's a good question. I'm interested in Adobe certification. Do you recommend any sites or resources for this? So those of you that don't know, Adobe has a test called the Adobe Certified Expert Test. You're then called an ACE, and you can put the logo on your business cards or your website or different things like that. So
We're
what's your thoughts on it?
going to be doing some work on this. So I'd stick around to work with this.
Yeah.
And
take off the hat of, because RC actually worked
Yes,
with
I
Adobe
worked with Adobe
on
to
making
develop
the
the-
latest ACE test.
Yes.
So take off that hat for a second, and just the overall hat.
I like the subtle form.
If you send an envelope full of money to this address, RC may provide the answer key.
No,
Just what's your overall feeling? I mean, some people say certification tests are dead, and they're not. I think it all depends on the situation. And my take on it is, I don't think they can hurt. I don't think they'll ever hurt you.
No, not at all. Well, the best example that I usually give is the example that I had when I was at Photoshop World. When I first came to Photoshop World as an attendee, everybody does this. There's a lot of this. I've been using Photoshop Word for 10 years. Look at me. I've been using
Yeah.
this. I've been using this in pre-layers. I've been using it for this. I've been doing Photoshop for 10 years. I've been doing Photoshop for 5 years. I've been doing Photoshop for 15 years. So you go apply for a job and you tell people 7 years of Photoshop experience. Well, what does that mean? You could be doing 7 years of file open, file save, file close. You could have done that for 7 years, and somebody turned around and go, hey, do you know how to be able to recreate a color channel? And you'd be like, what? So there's no measure. Time isn't a measure of experience. You could be doing everything. You could be running up against the same wall for 7 years. However, if you go back and you take a look at somebody like Adobe, right? You take a look at their program, they are going to create a test that's going to test all of the different levels evenly. They're going to take a look at everything. And at that point, you can turn around and you can say, listen, the best proof that I have about mastery of this program is that these people who designed the program said that I have mastery of this program.
I'm a certified expert.
Yeah.
And I would agree with you.
So I think that that's one of those things that I think that offers a great way for you to be able to get yourself in the door in a lot of places.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and it does. It says, regardless of whether that potential client or employer actually goes onto Adobe's website and looks up what Adobe Certified Expert means and what you had to pass to get there, just the fact that you can call yourself an Adobe Certified Expert carries credibility.
Anybody who's looking for a Photoshop, if you're trying to fill a Photoshop position, they know what an expert is. They know what an ace is.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think would be, I think some people just want to see how they measure up. You know, so it's funny because when I first started Taekwondo like 4 years ago, RC's like, are you gonna do tournaments and everything like that? And I'm like, no, I'm probably not gonna do any of that stuff. And then after a couple of years of it, it's like, all right, I know how I measure up in my Taekwondo school. And I started going to tournaments because I want to see how I measure up elsewhere.
And you've done very well.
So, anyway, but I think there is a degree of that. I think people just want to take, I want to take the test. So I want to see if I measure up to be a
second in the world.
Thank you.
I'll tell you. Second in the world.
30 to 39 age group, so not everybody.
So,
Anyway,
what's the next question? So let's see. What's up with the future of industry and photography in the last few years? There's been such a change from the rise of mobile devices, tablets, to the increase in photographers and changing equipment. So what's next? The same thing that's been happening for as long as it can happen. It's the development of the eye. Christopher Arnold. All of the technology could be there. The technology can grow by leaps and bounds and leaps and bounds. What I would tell you is look at Calibra Kelby. And I don't bring her up because she's, their name is on the side of the building. But seriously, she's a great example of forgetting about the technology and having an eye to be able to do that. Your job should be to follow your eye. All of this stuff that we have here, these are all tools. It doesn't matter. And if you focus on this stuff, you're going to spend a lot less time focusing on your eyes. So I think that what's going to happen is everybody's going to have all of this stuff, and people are going to be running around with 49 megapixel pictures that suck. And at the end of the day, we're all going to turn around and look at that and go, oh, wait a minute, we need to learn composition and eye. And
a D800 can still take a really bad photo.
Yep. So that's what I would say.
Cool. Let's see. Brad, you got one. Have you had the chance to work with the Nikon 105 or the 135 f2 DC lens? I've always wanted to try that 135.
Not the 135. The one, if I think it's the 105 micro whatever lens.
Yeah, the micro.
I played around with it a few years ago, but not since then. But I just remember it being so incredibly tack sharp and quiet.
Right.
It is.
When you're focusing, like you can't hear it.
Yeah, I own it, and it's a great portrait lens. I mean, it's meant for macro work. I know Nikon calls it micro, but
Right.
it's meant for
But
macro work.
The DC, if I'm not mistaken, is the defocus control lens.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try that lens. I've never even really
messed
seen
with
where you can buy it.
Yeah,
I mean,
the
obviously
DC.
they
yeah,
don't make it anymore.
The
but-
135 DC is supposed to be like one of the best lenses out there.
Yeah, I would love to give it a try.
I had to double check. I was just like, wait a minute. He said it was a DC lens. It said it was a micro lens.
Defocus.
That's the defocus control lens. No,
But the
if
105
you
is
have
great.
one, send it.
Yeah.
We're more than happy to tell you what we think of it.
The 105 is an awesome lens. So it's a 105 micro macro from Nikon. Great portrait lens. It's a great
whoa.
focal length for portraits
Bruce
too.
F says 105 micro is not the same as DC. DC is defocus control. I've owned it for 20 years and I love it.
Right, but I
Really,
did,
they're
I
two
didn't-
different lenses.
But see,
Bruce F,
what
you
I was
need to
saying
send
was,
that lens.
I didn't know if the 105. They didn't say 105.
Oh, gotcha.
I assume it was the macro.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. What about Trey Ratcliffe said about DSLRs going away from mirrorless?
Trey Ratcliffe doesn't count. He lives in New Zealand now. So
Right,
it
he's
doesn't matter.
revolutionary.
Next question. No, I'm totally kidding.
No one else ever said.
Totally kidding. No, it's. I think everything is going mirrorless, but I think one of the things that Trey Ratcliffe, and understand this.
What did Trey
Trey's
buy
a
after he
friend.
said that?
Trey's a friend. He's a buddy. I like him a lot. That said, a couple of days later after he did that, he came in and he bought a D800. So
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying. Now, that said, Trey's also been very, very straight about saying, listen, I'm not saying that this is in now.
No.
He's also said, going forward, you're going to see a lot of this stuff evolve to mirrorless. And yeah, I mean, duh, of course it's going to. And I would say that mirrorless cameras are going to start making these giant leaps and giant leaps.
It's got to, because that's where the growth.
So I think in that respect, I think Trey's absolutely right. It's
Yeah.
just not here now.
Yep.
So
And if you're wondering what Trey we're talking about, it's Trey Ratcliffe. You can find out more. He's
HDR
got
master.
awesome stuff
in
over at
Customs.
stuckincustoms.com.
Now, and speaking of D800s and really, really big file sizes, if you want to see some amazing, crazy Olympic not portraits, but pictures,
yeah, dude.
go to I think it's on Sports Illustrated's website. David Bergman has been shooting gigapans at the Olympics. He did a crazy one at the opening ceremony, and then the one he just posted, I think yesterday, was at one of the tennis games, and you can see the entire stadium that they're playing in, and you can see the London Eye in the background. You can zoom in and see the people in the eye in the background and see the tennis player's fingernail polish.
Dude, look,
it's
here
crazy.
it is.
RC's got it pulled up
It's
on his web.
amazing,
on his
dude.
At RC's.
This is
Yeah.
David Bergman. You rocked it on this. So check it out. So this is the shot. Now watch this. Go in here. Dude, like watch.
You can zoom in further. Careful.
That's what would happen if I did it. Pink nail polish.
Dude,
Or whatever.
That's crazy.
that is sick.
That's pretty cool.
So you can go to David Bergman. I think is it .net.
It's David. I went to SportsIllustrated.com.
Yeah,
That's where
but
I picked it up. But his website is over at davidbergman.net.
Yeah, go on his blog.
BERGMAN.
Yeah, go on his blog and check that out.
All right, let's see. I think that which app do you use to edit on the iPhone? I use
about
Snapseed.
I use Camera Awesome from SmugMug.
Snapseed.
Oh, I use Camera Awesome
And Camera
too.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah, those are the two. They're both good.
Actually, if I'm going to take pictures on my iPhone, I would rather use Camera Awesome to take the pictures,
take the
than
pictures.
the actual camera app or
Yep.
whatever it is.
Oh yeah.
Camera Awesome. You know
It's
what? When
fast.
Camera Awesome came out,
Fast.
I was like, really, guys? Awesome? Come on. And then I started using it, and I was like, yeah, this thing is really nice.
RC hates the words awesome and epic.
Yep.
So if they came out with like
And
a
if
pro
used
version, it would be
together,
the
if
awesome.
used together, you will send him over a cliff.
awesome.
Epic awesome. All right, hey, we got some prizes to give away. First, we have, considering our topic or one of the topics, we have the iPad book for photographers, and this one's from Jeff Carlson. We will also be giving away an electronic book. It's-
That's the digital version.
Okay, this is the digital version you'll get. Well, it's
So
not
we're
really-
going to send you a digital version.
This
of
is
it.
our copy. You guys get the digital.
Will the digital version be autographed?
Ah. He'll send you an email. Thank you.
But here's the big prize. Photoshop World is coming up September
right.
5th through 7th at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, and you can win a free conference ticket to go to Photoshop World.
I have it on good authority that even though the special room rates have technically expired, they may possibly still be extended to you if the rooms
If you
are
still want to
available.
stay at the Mandalay Bay, you can stay there too.
And that's where you stay.
So all you gotta do is go leave a comment, and Nancy will take care of getting us some winners for that.
Yeah, I just took the comments to
Okay.
needed moderation, so just tell them to put their name in there.
Put your name,
Name, email
email, all that
address,
info, because it won't go
prize.
out to the public, and you can get entered to win the prize. Don't forget, guys, we rebroadcast this. It takes a little while to get the show up, but if you go over to kelbytv.com/thegrid, you can always rewatch, and you guys
Should be up
will throw up
sometime
some of those
tomorrow.
links that you were talking
Yeah,
about.
absolutely.
Too, hopefully. So-
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, Brad,
That's a lot of stuff,
Matt?
dude.
got anything else?
You can go to scottkelby.com tomorrow for more free stuff on Free Stuff Thursdays.
Very good, Brad.
That's it.
Wow. So now if they want to find you for some more information, where do they go?
Yeah.
Be More Visuals, which is actually, people ask me fairly often. My website is actually run on SmugMug's servers and hosted there, and it's customized by Fastline Media. So
Nice.
Cool.
there you go.
Very, very cool.
RCO?
If you guys want to find out more about me, it's easy. Go to aboutrc.com, or you can go to rcgplus.com. That's my Google Plus page. So either one of those will get you
Awesome.
to where I need to go.
Cool. Thank you guys for
Now,
being on the
for
show.
you?
Best place to go is just go to mattk.com, mattk.com. All the social media stuff is there, and I blog a few times a week.
Now, if they want to try to type your last name, does mattkozlowski.com redirect?
No, Matt K is pretty much good.
Matt Kloskowski does redirect, but Matt K is
No, Kozlowski.
Kozlowski. Oh, you know what? I've actually thought about. Yeah, I should.
Now somebody's going to go register before you can.
I know. Damn it.
All right.
All right. Hey guys, take care. Thanks for watching this week. Thanks to all the sponsors. We'll talk to you again soon.
Take care.
See you.
This week's episode of The Grid is sponsored by MPix. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow. Manfrotto. Imagine more. On One Software that gets you back to shooting. Adorama. More than a camera store. Tiffin. Helping create the world's greatest images. Peach Pit Press. Publishers of technology books, ebooks, and videos for creative people. Epson. Exceed your vision. Expo Imaging. Rogue Flash Benders for speedlight enthusiasts. Nix Software, photography first. And B&H Photo, the professional source.